Hi, in this video we're going to be covering how all of the crewmate roles work within the Town of Us mod. Crew has by far the most roles at the moment within the Town of Us mod, and it'll be a long video. And we'll go through each role's ins and outs and how you can take best advantage of them. Stay tuned. The first role we're going to be covering here is the Mayor. Now, the Mayor gets no new abilities outside of the meeting. They're just like any other crewmate. They have tasks to do, and once they've done them all, that finishes the game. But once they're within a meeting, they actually get a whole new set of options available to them. Now, the Mayor can skip votes, they can also abstain votes, and the Mayor actually gets bonus votes. By abstaining from voting, the Mayor actually can start banking up extra votes and saving them for later, or they can just choose to unleash all of their votes on a player straight away. Now, they have to do this before every other player is voted, because if every other player is voted, they will only get to do one vote before the meeting will automatically adjourn. So it's very important that as the Mayor, you make sure you do your voting before anybody else. The next role we're going to look at here is the Lovers. The Lovers have a special ability where they are able to type to each other through the game. As you can see here, it's a useful ability that will actually offer them the ability to collude and make strategies during the round. Nice. What's really interesting about the Lovers is actually they have a very special victory condition in the game. If they get down to the last 3 players, then they actually end up winning the game, as you can see here. What will end up happening is the Lovers' victory. They can win along with the crew if all other neutral roles that can win and imposters are removed before that, but if they get down to the last 3, then it's automatically a Lover couple victory. Now, the next role we're going to look at here is the Sheriff. The Sheriff is capable of killing any other crew member. All they have to do, just like the imposter, is walk up to them and press the kill button. However, if the Sheriff is incorrect about whether or not the person they're trying to kill being evil, whether that be an imposter or a negative neutral role, then they will in fact die. The way the Sheriff works can actually drastically change from game to game based on the settings that the Sheriff is currently set to. So make sure to read those settings, and that way you'll know whether or not the exact way you were playing Sheriff before will still work in this game. The next role we have here is the Engineer. Now, the Engineer is quite unique for the crewmate roles. They're actually capable of using events, just as an imposter would. What's especially cool about the Engineer is once per round, or once per game, depending on the settings you have, the Engineer will get this fix button lit up whenever a sabotage happens, and all they have to do is press that button, and the sabotage will instantly be solved. What's also important to note is that if an imposter sees you go in an event and you don't actually leave that vent, they are actually capable of killing you while you're inside the vent. Make sure you take that into consideration if someone's taking a special interest into the vent you just went into. It's also important to note that the Sheriff is just as capable of killing someone who's just gone into a vent. This can be good for the Sheriff to try and deal with imposters, but if you're playing the Engineer, you might just get targeted. What we have here is the Swapper. The Swapper is just like a normal crewmate in the sense that they have tasks to do around the map. However, the key difference with the Swapper is what happens when you get into a meeting. An important thing to note is the Swapper is unable to call meetings themselves, and they require other people to do them. But once they get into the meeting, you'll see exactly how the Swapper differs from a regular crewmate. As you can see, the Swapper gets this overlay where they have the little switch here, which allows them to pick 2 people that are getting voted for and switch around the votes for them, as you can see here. And just like that, the Swapper is able to get rid of somebody who they think needs to be removed from the game. Here we have the Investigator role, which once again is like a regular crewmate in the fact that they have to do all their tasks. But the big thing that you will notice straight away that's different from the Investigator role is the fact that they can actually see footprints that are left behind from other players. Although I would advise against using this role in your games at the moment, just as this role is currently quite bugged in the sense that it actually lags out the game when you have up to 15 players' footsteps all on the screen. So right now, until that issue is fixed, it's probably best you dodge this role. The next role we have here is the Time Lord. Now, once again, the Time Lord has to do all their tasks. like any other crew member, but they do have this special reverse time button here down in the bottom right. I'm going to show you what happens if we kill somebody and then press that button. What? Alright, what I didn't realize is the Time Lord actually has a setting that actually sets whether or not their rewind time ability will actually revive people. So as you can see here, this time round, when we press the Time Lord's rewind, it will actually bring this person back to life. Again, why it's very important to look into all of the settings before you start a game. The next role we have here is the medic, and the medic is able to shield a player, which will prevent them from being killed. As you can see here, a shielded player will be able to tell that they're shielded because they have this blue little outline around them. And when another player comes up and tries to kill them, they just simply won't be able to. An important thing to note here is that the way this shield works can actually be altered. In this case, it makes this player completely impossible to be killed. However, it can be altered so the shield will be breakable, but once it's broken, everyone will know. There'll be a green flash on the screen, so you can actually tell when somebody has tried to kill the player who's shielded. Also, as you can note here, you can actually shield anyone, including the imposter. So in this case, we've actually made it impossible for the imposter to be killed. The shield will also prevent glitches from being able to hack you, and it will also prevent shifters from being able to switch roles with you. For more information on the neutral roles, check out my Neutral Roles Explained video. The last thing to note about the medic is what happens when they report a body. They actually get a very special message displayed to them, which they can use to help them figure out who exactly killed. So in this case, we check the messages here, and we get the body report. The corpse is too old to gain any extra information. It was killed 40 seconds ago. However, if we were able to get to the body sooner and report it, we'd actually get information about the color of the killer. It would tell us whether or not the killer was a light color or a dark color. The next role we have here is the Seer, and the Seer is able to go up to other roles and reveal exactly what role they are. So in this case, we can actually see that this player here is an imposter, and then we can use that information to help out the rest of the crew. The ability can be used multiple times, and it can even reveal neutral roles. That information will even be displayed once you get to the voting display, so you don't even have to remember exactly what roles they were. It's actually hard for players to believe that somebody's a Seer though, because of the role the Executioner. The Executioner is trying to kill off certain players, and a good strategy is to actually lie about being the Seer, and that's why people should vote them out. Now the role we have here is the Snitch. Now we won't actually know whether or not we are the Snitch until we have actually achieved a certain number of tasks, and then the game will let us know that we are in fact the Snitch. This exact setting can be altered as well, but by default you will have it so you won't know whether or not you're the Snitch until you have done a certain number of tasks. Usually when you've got 2 tasks left, the game will let you know. As you can see now, the screen flashes and our name and our role has changed color. And here we are in fact, the Snitch. Now the way this works is that at this point, the imposter can actually see an arrow that leads to you. As you can see here, when the imposter sees them, they can clearly tell that this player is the Snitch. If you're able to get all of your tasks done on time before the imposter gets to you, you'll instantly win the game. Or, alternatively, it can reveal the roles of the imposter to the rest of the crew. Here we have the Spy, and we're on Polus as the Spy's abilities are best seen on Polus. You can see here, if we bring up the map, we can actually see where everybody is along with their colors. Also, depending on the settings of your game, the Spy can go to the vitals and actually check how long it's been since a body has been killed. However, you can see in this game that that's not the case, as the time isn't written here. Lastly, we have the Altruist. Now, the Altruist is capable of reviving dead players. However, it's important to note that reviving someone will actually kill you. And it will take a period of time before the body will be actually brought back. So if you ever see 2 bodies standing side by side like that, maybe you just shouldn't report them. You could very well be interrupting a Altruist resurrection. Another factor to take into consideration is the Altruist is actually capable of reviving anyone, and the person they could revive could actually be the imposter. And there you have it. Those are all of the crew roles for Town of Us and exactly how they work. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. I read and reply to every comment. If you're looking for Town of Us highlights and gameplay, you can find that in the little suggested box just here. If you want to know more about the other roles, check through this video's playlist and you'll find a full guide on how to play through every role in Town of Us. And if you need the installation video, that's in there too. Thanks for watching.